Hey, I'm Vlad. You may remember me from this morning. They didn't give me a microphone, but now I have it. So before, during this session, I just want to ask you, how many of you actually have Win32 apps that still make sense, and you're working on them, and you want other people to see them? Win32 applications, WPF, WinForms, MFC. Any developers? Yay, we have it. So this session is for you, but not only for you. So what is Desktop Bridge? Apparently, I need to switch the clicker. What is Desktop Bridge? It's actually a technology for Win32 apps modernization. And if you ask how many developers actually modernized applications, we just put some of them on this slide. It's Adobe, Slack, so really good developers doing this. And they want to reach more users. They want to reach more markets. They want to reach, they want to actually make money using Windows Store Commerce Engine and so on. That's what actually I'm going to talk about. And to try to give a definition of Desktop Bridge, it's essentially a set of technologies, both on the tool set side and on the application model side inside the operating system, that helps you in packaging the applications, essentially. And then once you package that, it gives you additional capabilities on the operating system itself, both from the deployment perspective, so you can publish your application to Windows Store, or deploy it locally, as I will show you later, and obviously from the API perspective. There are three big elephants that Desktop Bridge has. First, it's simplified and trusted deployment. Once you packaged your application, first, it's very, very easy to deploy your application on the target machine. Either it's just side loading, or you install it from Windows Store, or you install it from Store for Business, because we take care of the entire deployment process. There is no installation with the next, you know. And we also, once it's deployed and the user wants, for some reason, to remove it, the operating system will take care of removing pretty much everything your application has done, besides the user's file that the user may want to preserve. So there is no garbage left on the user's machine. Second, as I already mentioned, it's greater reach and easier monetization. So once you publish your application to Windows Store, you will have access to all these 500 million users that use Windows 10 through Windows Store. You will have access to more than 200 markets worldwide, and you will also be able to use monetization mechanisms. For example, mobile payments. Like for some markets, it's very important. You can use in-app purchasing mechanism. You can use just a commerce engine as it is for selling your app, and that's really, really helpful. And third, that's my favorite part, modernization of your application. Basically, once you're on Windows 10 and you have application identity, and you have this manifest and all these declarations you can use for universal Windows apps, your Win32 application will be able to use additional capabilities. A great example is actually Magic's demo, Movie Edit Pro demo that I was demoing this morning. It was originally a Win32 application, but once they added this UWP component, once they went through the Desktop Bridge conversion process, they now can use mixed reality APIs on Windows 10. From the packaging perspective, you have basically, again, three options. I would say even 3.5. First, it's Desktop App Converter. If you use an installer and you want to convert your classic installer to UWP package to Apex file, you just use Desktop App Converter. And all this tool does is it makes a snapshot of what your installer is doing on the target system, both in registry and file system, and things like start menu, all the shortcuts and everything. And then it plays it back on the target system in a way that it creates live tiles, it creates all the register settings you need, and so on. So that's a really helpful tool. Second, it's Visual Studio 2017. We have a special template for that, and if you want to debug your application as if it was already converted, if you want to automate the packaging process, Visual Studio can help you with that. Also, there are so far five companies that make installers, and they support Desktop Bridge. So they really have an option for packaging applications, not as a classic installers, like either it's exe file or MSI, but as UWP packages. And you just may say, oh, I want to create a Desktop Bridge package out of my installer if I use one of those installer engines. Let's talk a bit about Desktop App Converter. Basically, it's a command line tool. As I already mentioned, you just launch your installer, and it records and makes a snapshot of everything that installer does, and then plays it back on the target system. As a result, you will have just an application package that you can publish to Windows Store or give it to your user to deploy locally. So this is what you're going to have. Apex package, a certificate, because your Apex package needs to be signed and the certificate needs to be trusted on the target system, and maybe some additional files, which is optional. If you use Visual Studio 2017, then you may have your original WinForm application. In this case, it's Flight Tracker, and it's a WinForm application. Then you may have a special, this is part of the template, you will have a special project for debugging your application, and it's like, again, for debugging as not just a purely Win32 app, but as a universal Windows application. And then the packaging project, so you can build it and deploy as a universal Windows platform package. Again, once you're ready to publish it to Windows Store or just build a package for your users, you do it the same way like you do it for universal Windows apps. The only big difference is that it's going to be your Win32 application with all the features you have in your app. Let's switch to the demos. Bam, bam. So here I have my PC, and I have this, not this, but this package. You see it? Flight Tracker. This is my package, and I can just deploy it here. The way I deploy it, and you've seen it already with the Shen, for example, I just double-click, I click Install, bam, and it's here. And I can launch it from here, or I can launch it from LiveTile. And you may say, here, what's the difference? It's just the same application. Besides all these features that we can add to this app, see how I'm going to remove it right now. And you remember, when we're removing a Win32 app, we're going to go to settings, and then add remove programs, and then we're going to click uninstall and wait forever while it's uninstalling. Here's the big difference. We just click uninstall, and here we are. The app got uninstalled without any additional questions, without any garbage on our system. That's a big difference. Back to slides. So second part, greater reach. As Shen already mentioned at the end of this session, of the previous session, that you really have a greater reach with the 200+ markets around the world. So you can basically distribute it through either Windows Store or Windows Store for Business if your application is targeting more like enterprise users. Also, you heard about Windows 10 on cheaper devices, basically, on more affordable devices. Windows 10 S, this is a special version. And this version only supports Windows Store apps. And you may actually think, oh, this is only for UWP applications. Not only for purely UWP applications, but also for those that converted with Desktop Bridge. And this is a big difference. So you can actually use Win32 apps on Windows 10 S if you install them from Windows Store. And third, again, that's all about access to a lot of markets. And you may not have access with your traditional distribution mechanisms. And once you're in Windows Store, you may add additional features to your Win32 application. First, for using Commerce Engine, so you can do in-app purchases, for example. And if you are developing a game, you can sell additional levels or content. It's not just for games, for pretty much any apps. A great example of applications that were modernized is Kodi. It's really successful app in Windows Store. When they modernized it, then they didn't expect such a huge success because they've got so many new users who never had an idea that Kodi exists in the world. And once they published it to Windows Store, they were like, oh man, we're getting so many new users that never used our app before that we're really happy with the desktop bridge. And what they decided is that they want to convert Kodi to a full and native UWP app so they can reach other devices such as Xbox. Another great example is Photoscape X Pro. They really became happy with the Windows Store infrastructure, so they can use our commerce system and simplify the way they collect money from users. And this is what really they're happy about. And that's my favorite topic, modernization. The way you do it, obviously, you can just take your app, package it with Desktop Bridge, and it's going to work like it was working before. Maybe some changes, maybe no changes at all. But then, once you have a package identity, once you convert it and you get this magic number from Universal Windows Platform, you have access to a lot of new APIs, and those APIs are really cool. For example, I don't know, Bluetooth APIs. Using Bluetooth just from a classic desktop app, it's really hard. Camera APIs, again, live tiles, notifications, mixed reality APIs. This is what you have access to once you convert the application. You also get application manifest, so you can preserve your integration capabilities and not lose any of them in your converted application. And once you have all of this, your application becomes really like basically a new version. It's a brand new app that delights your users with new features and preserve everything that they used to, everything they like about your application in the past. A great example of this is a Sonar application from Cakewalk. On Windows 10, they're using new MIDI APIs. And these new APIs, they support, for example, Bluetooth MIDI, which wasn't available before. So what they do, they detect if their app installed from Windows Store, so it has access to UWP APIs, and they basically just start using those new APIs for users who install this application from Windows Store. This is a great example. Let's switch back to demos. And first demo I want to show you, it's again all about modernization. It's a demo of sharing a picture. Do you know what it is? Yeah? I guess you know. I just want to share this app, share this picture to another app. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to share it to a WPF app. You see, this is a WPF app as shared target. And just click it here. What we've done with this application is we actually converted an existing .pf app, but added a little UWP component to that package, which provides us with this beautiful sharing UI. And once we share it to our existing .pf app, you see it's open. It's our beautiful Win32 photo app, and we have this picture shared in the application, so we can actually get it. Quite interesting. Let's do another sharing sample. And for that, I want to use a picture not of myself, but of you. Hey, let me take a risk and lift it. Put your hands up, put your hands up, don't be shy. Yay! Boom. And I have this picture right here, excellent. And I'm gonna share it because my parents teach me to share. And I'm gonna use another WinForm, so I don't even remember if it's gonna be WinForms or .pf app. But again, this application has a little UWP component that will help me sharing this. And apparently Shen messed up with the application because I have inking here. So let me just use the inking then with the yellow and thing, and that nobody's sitting here really. Why? This like little row. And this is the Nosy app. And despite it says UWP, it's not UWP. It's really like, you see, it's a WinForm or I don't know. It looks more like a WPF application. And what I can do, I can say share to Microsoft Nosy. And you see, I've got the notification. So my application is actually using notification. Oh, it's a WPF app. It says Microsoft Nosy WPF, received new image. So I've got this image in my WPF app, and I can show notification with the images and all additional things, as you can imagine, on the notification perspective. And it's, again, in the Win32 app. Let's do another demo. I close the camera, close this up. And let's actually start from the hack checklist. Those of you who are gonna do a workshop tomorrow, they know this app. This app actually checks what your system has installed and what is missing in order to be able to participate in tomorrow's workshop. And it's actually a UWP app. What's interesting about this application is that this app has a Win32 component. And it's a great example of UI modernization. So basically, imagine your big Win32 app, and it has this old MFC or WinForms UI that you want to modernize. You really want to delight users with the new XAML UI, with composition and all these connected animations and with inking and with everything you can imagine. What you can do, you can actually create a UWP app, add XAML UI, add all these animations and everything you want. But you can keep all your existing Win32 features and functionality, libraries, COM servers, whatever, in that package. And your UWP application will be able to communicate to that existing component and call all the functions, everything pretty much you need for your application. So you will be able to serve users with the functionality they need because you preserve it, and you will delight them with the new UI. And that's a really great thing. So as you see, it's a UWP app. I click Check Now, and it goes through the registry and the file system and checks all the components I have installed. This is not what a classic UWP app can do today. It requires Win32. And the last demo I want to show you is about old WinForms app and a UWP app. These two applications actually are not part of one package. Those are two different apps. WinForm app is a modernized one, and UWP client, as we call it, is just a just a UWP app that I installed separately. What I want to do is I want to connect to an app service. And this app service is actually provided by WinForms application because it's converted, so you can use UWP features such as app services. And I'm going to add a new line here to my database. Oh, do you remember this data grid? Some form, and I'm in Warsaw currently, and a state. Let's say it's nothing. I just put a point here. I don't know what state it is, if it's state at all. And I save it to a database. So what my UWP application can do now, it can query this line. And you see, I've got this data from my Win32 app through app service, even though they are not packaged together, so they don't have access to each other's file system. It's just an app service functionality, and this is really cool. Back to slides. Boom. So this is all about modernization. This is what we really want you to do with your existing Windows 2 applications and then publish it to Windows Store. The way it worked, let's talk about the data sharing web service. I have WinForms data app, I have an app service, and I have test client, a UWP app. And both app service and WinForms data app have access to database. And test client just queries app service so it can access database too. And this is really a good opportunity for you to start sharing data with the UWP ecosystem, even if you don't add features to your existing Win32 application. Another thing is a UWP share contract. It was my first demo. So I shared a picture from Edge browser to a UWP component in a Win32 converted application package. And then my WP app after that has access to this shared data. The hack checklist, again, I have full-blown XAML UI. I have an app service, but I also have a little background task that goes through my native operating system components, such as registry, and gives data to app service so I can provide information through my new XAML UI. We also have something to help you with converting existing apps. For example, if your app has a shell extension, you can do it through Manifest. If you have custom fonts, yes, you can install them to the system. If your app requires custom firewall rules, well, yeah, you can use it just declaring in the application manifest. If your app is a very complicated COM server, you can still have it and serve other applications with this functionality. Again, you're getting integration with Visual Studio 2017, and you also get the Windows Application Certification Kit support, so you can check if your app is compliant with it, so you can safely upload it to Windows Store and publish and give your users access. Some call to actions. If you have a Win32 app, even if it's an old Win32 app and you haven't played with for a while, try to convert it and see how it goes. Use Visual Studio 2017 for debugging if there are issues and you want to fix it. Provide feedback to Desktop Bridge team through user voice. And again, if you want more information, just go to ak.ms build tour, and we'll provide all the links you need in that page. And by the way, the first link that says Desktop Bridge, it's ak.ms/desktop bridge. They never put real links on slides.